Also, excuse the noise in the back. It's like this little ventilator in the garage. I still don't know how to turn it off, but once I do, I will improve the sound quality. Hopefully you guys are liking this mic over the previous one. What's up guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we're gonna be doing a nice short and sweet wheel fitment guide for my 3000 GT guys and South guys. I know you guys don't really get much love. It's the same thing with my Ego Talent guys in the DSM community, but you guys are part of the crew. So today we're gonna be going over what are the best wheel fitment, wheel specs for the 3S platform. This goes for my SL guys and my VR4 guys, as the chassis seems to be the same size. I've actually only had one set of wheels on my VR4 besides the stock ones, so I didn't really have too much insight to base my video out of, so I had to make some more research and actually ask a bunch of 3000 GT guys. I was able to acquire a bunch of unique different wheel specs that I find really aesthetic and functional for the 3S platform. And of course, huge thanks to my 3S guys that decided to participate today, because a lot of guys actually don't share their wheel specs. I'm gonna go ahead and start off the video with sharing my personal wheel specs from my 3000 GT VR4. It would have been perfect if I had the 3000 GT back here, but honestly, I was too lazy to wash it, so you guys are gonna have to deal with looking at the Eclipse. It's kind of blurry, but you guys get the point. But anyways, let's start off with my wheel specs. Here we have the Enkei NT03s with some Federal RSR Pro tires. The wheel specs are 18 by 10.5 plus 30 on a 275/35 R18 tire. Now, you have to acknowledge the fact that these Federal tires do tend to run wider than the average tire. So those 275s are pretty much equivalent to a 285 tire, which is pretty insane. Now, one thing I actually found out about the 3000 GT chassis, it's that it's actually much wider than both the EVO and Eclipse chassis. The DSM has no way of fitting these wheels whatsoever. I couldn't drive the car when I had them on for one day. The EVO, I did have these wheels on the EVO for a while. That was actually its first set of wheels, but I did experience some rubbing issues in the rear, even with some rolling and pulling. When it comes to the 3000 GT, I'm pretty sure I could fit those wheels even without rolling my fenders. I did roll the fenders just in case, but I experienced no rubbing whatsoever, and this is considered a very aggressive setup. So I'm actually curious to see if there's any 3S guys out there that are running either 18 or 19 by 11 or 12-inch wide wheels on these cars, because I'm pretty sure we could fit them no problem. And if you guys don't know, a lot of my Lamborghini and Ferrari guys actually run these type of wide wheels. So I'm actually curious to see if we could fit the same type of wheels on the 3S platform. And of course, as you guys know, I do consider the 3000 GT kind of like the JD and Ferrari. Of course, we have the Acura NSX. But from what I've heard from the NSX owners, I have a feeling that the VR4 is actually a much better platform to modify, run, drive, etc. I actually consider the 3000 GT a much better driver car versus the NSX. But of course, I am biased. If you guys have anything to say about that, leave it down in the comments. So I did actually go ahead and ask my other 3000 GT guys for some help on this video. Here we have Mr. Black Mamba VR4, super clean 1G 3000 GT. He does have the Graham Light 57 CRs, beautiful wheels. Honestly, they look really good on that car. And it's kind of funny because back in my DSM days when I wanted a 3000 GT, I actually initially wanted a 1G 3000 GT, but I did end up with the 98. So that's kind of crazy, but I do like his car. Honestly, it's really beautiful in person. He's actually one of the very first 3000 GT guys that I met through this platform, but he was kind enough to share his wheel specs with me, and they honestly took me by surprise because they're actually 17s, which is rare, I feel like, in the 3S community, because a lot of you guys actually run 18 and 19-inch wheels. He's actually running a 17 by 9 plus 38 on a 245/45 R17 tire. He is running 20mm spacers all around, which concludes the fact that you could actually run a much lower offset on these wheels, which would equate to around 17 by 9 plus 18 offset on a 245/45 R17 tire. So if I actually wanted to run those same exact wheels, I would actually run a 17 by 9 plus whatever offset Race offers that is around that spec, so plus 18 plus 20 plus 22, to avoid having to run the spacers, because all the spacer does is push the wheel more towards out. People usually run them to either clear Brembos or because the wheel is hitting the inside of the car. Now, if you're one of those guys that doesn't really like to modify the car or wants to keep it somewhat stock, or has the ability to basically revert it back to stock for reselling purposes, because I know that they do tend to hold more value the stocker they are, you could run some stock EVO wheels, which conclude me to my buddy here with his VR4 running some stock EVO 10 wheels. These EVO 10 wheels are 18 by 8.5 plus 38 on a 255/40 R18 tire. This is a great way to keep your car looking stock, clean, simple. And as you guys can see, his car looks practically stock. He's still running stock Mitsubishi wheels. And if you just want to keep it simple, nothing crazy, nothing that stands out too much, this is honestly a perfect example for you guys to kind of base your wheel specs around. You could also run EVO 8 wheels, EVO 9 wheels will fit with no issues. And remember, these wheels also do clear your stock VR4 calipers or Brembos if you decide to upgrade in the future. So for my wide body boys, because I do find 3000 GTs in wide body form to look super clean, super aesthetic. And here we have a GTO King with his super clean 3000 GT VR4 running some Work in Motion T7Rs, and his wheel specs are 19 by 10.5 plus 12 on a 285/30 R19 tire. And what makes this setup crazier is that he's actually running spacers, 1.5 in the front, 2.5 in the rear, which concludes to like an extra 20 to 25 millimeters of offset that he can still run. That's insane. This is probably the craziest wheel setup that I've ever seen on a Mitsubishi. And this just goes to show that 3000 GT guys are easily capable of running the same type of wheel specs that the Lambo and Ferrari guys are running, because this is super wide. He's actually running spacers, which just goes to show that he could actually run a negative offset if you really wanted to, or a much wider wheel to fit those gaps. If you want to run a wide body on a 3000 GT, be prepared to buy some pretty big wheels. And of course, that comes with a very hefty price, I'm sure. Usually 19 by like 10.5 or 19 by 11 inch wheels tend to run 3 to 6 grand for some legit wheels. So just keep that in mind before you do go wide body. I'm pretty sure that both the tires and the wheels are gonna start getting super expensive. You're up there in GTR and exotic territory. And here we have another clean example of Adrian's 3000 GT VR4. His wheel specs are a little more complex because he's actually running a staggered setup. Now this is a big no-no if you do have an all-wheel drive car, because what happens when you run a staggered fitment, you could damage things like the VCU and just the drivetrain overall. It is not recommended for an all-wheel drive vehicle to run a staggered fitment unless you adjust your tire size both in the front and the rear to basically make the same rolling diameter between all four wheels. I know that was kind of like a lot of maths and a lot of stuff, but he did share his wheel specs just in case you want to run a staggered setup. So he's running a 19 by 8.5 plus 27 in the front and a 19 by 9.5 plus 24 in the rear. He has a 245/35/19 in the front and a 275/30/19 in the back. What he basically said is to make sure that the tire specs are within the rolling diameter limits between the front and the rear. If not, the VCU will go.
Got a blast!
I've actually seen this car in person and actually like his wheel fitment, especially in the rear. But just keep that in mind when you do want to run staggered, wheel fitments on an all-wheel drive car. You do have to be careful because you could damage the drivetrain if you don't compensate with different tire sizes and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. I personally just like to run a full square setup all around just to avoid any issues. Oh, my girlfriend's calling me. Hello?
Hi.
Hi, what's up?
Today's been a clusterfuck.
You're on my YouTube video. Say hi.
Hi, YouTube. Am I famous? Oh my God.
I'm filming a VR4 video, so it's on my 3000 GT, guys.
Oh, so there's like 3 of them that are watching this?
3 of them? We're like 3,000.
6.5 hours later.
Babe,
Yes?
do you like my 3000 GT?
You're just trying to do this for the YouTube channel. You know what? It's a piece of crap. I'm just kidding. So what are you doing to it anyways?
Oh, I'm just, it's a wheel fitment guide.
Oh my God. No one cares about your 3000 GT wheel fitment.
First of all, I'm trying to give him the Hot Boy specs. What you mean?
All you did was take off wheels from another car and slap them on this one. It's the same wheel specs as everything.
Well, first of all, I actually asked a bunch of other fellow 3000 GT owners for their wheel specs, so that's what I'm sharing as well.
Oh, so you're stealing wheel specs from others and sharing it?
No, I asked for permission first.
So...
I'm not expecting that call, so sorry about that. She has her moments, but that's pretty much it for my 3000 GT wheel fitment guide. I kept it nice, short, and sweet. If you guys have any suggestions as far as like what you guys recommend for wheel specs, make sure to write it down in the comment section below, or if you have any additional questions, write it down as well, as either I or other fellow owners can help you in the comment section. So if you guys actually want to see more videos and pictures of the VR4 or the other Mitsubishis, make sure to check out the TikTok, the Instagram. You guys know the deal. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you haven't just yet, because if you haven't, what are you doing? And I'll see you on next week's video.